Hey, I guess I should introduce myself for those who are new here because there's quite a few new subscribers, and thank you for subscribing. I do appreciate it. My name is Jay. I am like a second generation collector. My parents started collecting various stuff in the late 1970s, and I got dragged along with them. Not dragged, but taken along with them pretty much to every collectible show, antique shop, collector store, all over the eastern seaboard of the United States and southern Ontario, Canada, and Quebec, and a few other places along the way. Over to England. We went to England to a collectible show there once. And I've been on eBay selling since 1998. And I own this lovely place here. It is I don't know, vintage collectibles. I call it a nostalgia store because that is my business, is nostalgia. Obviously I've got all kinds of various stuff. So that's me. This video is going to be probably broken up into two parts because I'm trying to keep my videos under 20 minutes because most modern attention spans don't last that long, mine mostly included. But as a collector and as like a buyer and seller of things, there are certain collections you get to know where they are. And in this case, I've known about this collection of records for a long, long time. It is a good collection. I've never seen it. I've only been told about it. And, I've always said, if you're ever going to thin out your collection, give me a call. And after waiting a long period of time, years, I got the call. And you're always waiting for these calls. And this one actually came through. 90% of them don't. And so I went, and I still didn't get to see the collection because he had everything out that he wanted to sell. It was all on the in a garage area, and it was good. There's some rare pieces in there, not huge rare. It's not like there's no Beatles butcher covers or rare Canadian Psych in there, but there's some good rare garage psychedelic music from the 60s, some nice 1950s early rockabilly, R&B, doo-wop, and then just sort of good stuff that would sell in the store. But it is large. I think I didn't count, but I think it's somewhere between like 300 and 400 records, so I'm going to try to break it up into half. So this will be the first part of 2 videos, and yeah, we'll just kind of, through the magic of editing, which I've only recently learned, switch over to going through the first batch. Okay, so as I probably mentioned in the intro, if I did an intro, because sometimes I forget to do those, I managed to get a fairly decent sized collection with some pretty good stuff. I won't go into detail because I'm sure that's all in the intro that is yet to happen. But I will go into that. But I just want to dive right in the records because I'm going to have to break this up into 2 parts, I've realized, because there's probably close to, I'm not 100%, somewhere over 300 records. My little space here where I do this filming can only really fit about 150 or so on this thing without it falling apart. So yeah, I'm just going to do these, and then I will do a second video from this collection. So, look out for that. Yeah. I'm really good at this stuff. So here we go. Space opera. They're kind of, well, most of you people who know space opera, but it's sort of kind of proggy, pretty hard to find actually. So, and there is a lot of harder to find pieces in this collection. Some that are, super rare. Basically, he was just going through and thinning his collection out. And I had been waiting for that call because he told me when he did, he would give me a call. So he did. For my American and non-Canadian friends, Stomping Tom Connors is like a legend here. He passed away, sadly. But he is sort of like if you took, I don't know, Johnny Cash and any one of sort of the traveling troubadour type folk singers, that is Stomping Tom, and he is Canadian through and through. If you want to know anything about Canada, just put on a couple of Stomping Tom records. And he made a lot A lot of them. Bud the Spud. Most, you know, probably even some Americans might know Bud the Spud in the Bright Red Mud. Joe Sharp. There's some common things in there like that Joe Sharp Muddy Waters record, early Stevie Wonders, SRC. They were like a Detroit. Started out as kind of like a really hard garagey band. Went a little bit more, I don't know, stadium classic rocky sound by the end. I think this is the last record they put out, or the third record, not 100% sure, but they used to open up for bands like the MC5 in Detroit and the Stooges and play with those guys all the time. So yeah, pretty cool, pretty hard to find too. Original early Motown Spinners. I think that's a Canadian Motown pressing. Yeah. Best of Spirit, Spencer Davis. This is pretty interesting. This is the Otis Spann record, but it's the backup band is actually Peter Green's Fleetwood Mac. So that's kind of cool. Not sure which soft machine this is, but there you go. This is a kind of a punky band called Snuff. Came out, I believe, 1990. Patti Smith, this is the Best Buy series. Sadly, has some damage at the bottom, but somebody will want it. I mean, you know, somebody who doesn't want to pay huge money. The record is actually immaculate. Arthur Smith, he's like kind of a bluegrassy guitar picker. This is him and his Cracker Jacks. Huey Piano Smith and his Clowns. This record, when I started collecting records in, like, you know, or buying records in the 70s, but going to collector shows in the 1980s, this was up on the wall. This was the stuff, like, I mean, back then it was rockabilly, early R&B and doo-wop, things like that. These records were what everybody wanted. This stuff, sadly, because that generation who grew up in the 1950s, and like any collectible, when they start passing away or downsizing, whatever, the price drops. And sadly, like a lot of these really great R&B groups and singers, the price has gone down, which is a shame, because this is, you know, it's a pretty great record. It's super rare on the Ace label. There are but 4 small faces, Canadian pressing on immediate. Lonnie Liston Smith and the Cosmic Echo, so sort of like jazzy fusion. Same thing again there. The Amazing Jimmy Smith. This is a later one. It's still on Blue Note, but I think it's like a 70s release. Small Faces again. This is, there he is, Roddy, as in the band. Strangely enough, I couldn't find this for years. And then in the last, like, year, I've had 3 copies come in. So this is The Great Society, which Grace Slick was a part of. It was a pre-Jefferson Airplane band. And they did some live recordings. I think that's what this is live recordings, and like White Rabbit and Somebody to Love and early recordings that went on to end up being used by the Jefferson Airplane are in here. Strangely enough, there was some hip-hop. I mean, this guy didn't limit. He had a pretty wide variety of collection, but this sure mix a lot. I think there's like Black Sabbath sample. I don't know. Maybe not. It's the second time I've had that in like a month, so kind of interesting. Just picked that up because, well, it's great. Stones, Goat's Head Soup, Through the Past Darkly, this Canadian pressing in the diagonal thing. A lot of Monty Python records. Get ready. I think it might be the entire catalog. This is cool because it pops out and makes like a thing. It's pretty cool. Again, second time I've had that recently. Flying Circus, Live at Drury Lane, album of the soundtrack of the trailer. There you go. Oh, that is such a good record. That is, yeah. Nancy and Lee, if you don't own it, just go buy it. Jimmy Reed. Jimmy Reed's another guy, like, really great early bluesy rock guitar player. It's on the VJ label. Just simply amazing, but kind of falling out of favor, sadly. The price, you don't get the prices you used to for it anymore. Nelson Point, Smilson sings Newman, Santana, Larry Lee and the Leisures, kind of like early rock-ish sort of stuff. Marvin and Johnny, same thing again, another R&B thing. That's on the Crown label. Marvelettes, oh, so good. Get ready, though. This is the real. There it is. Yeah, that's on the White Motown label, I believe. Let's see right there. Yep, that is it there. That's hard to find. Again, not in as demand as it used to be, but still. It's the Blues Breakers with Clapton, the Beano cover, as it gets called sometimes. It's another John Mayall. That has the insert with it, which is kind of cool. Another John Mayall. Alphonse Mouzon. Mountain. Mother Trucker's Yellow Dog. It's kind of like folk psych. I never enjoyed it, frankly. The moray eels eat the holy modal rounders. This is kind of like psych, just weirdness. And here's another one of those R&B ones that this used to be like up on the wall. You all know the wall. When you go up to like a record show or like a record store, they have a wall at the back that's just all their like high-end stuff. This was it. It's a first pressing on chess. But again, the Moon Glows, it's come down because the R&B and sort of doo-woppy stuff is just not in demand anymore. But this used to be, trust me on that, the thing that every record collector wanted for a while. Moody Blues #1. I'm going to assume it's the first record. Moby Grape. Sam Lazar, I think. Grant Green on guitar, so that's pretty rad. Organist. And I think Willie Dixon plays bass on this. Like the Willie Dixon. So that's kind of cool. LL Cool J's first record? Yeah, I think so. John Clemmer went all over the place. This one is on Cadet, the Cadet label. And this is pretty like modal, I guess. Not modal, but it gets out there. It gets a little spacey. I can never say his name. Rasan Roland Kirk. Just again, sort of, let's see, is that the one where he's got, no, he's only got one. He sometimes is known for playing like several horns at once. Rains Lewis, the Anchor, I think that's a UK on chess. The Love Exchange, excuse me, I'm losing my voice. I believe they're Canadian. It's sort of like psych pop music. So on the Capsule 6000, kind of hard to find actually. Liverpool Scene was like another one of those like British exploitation bands. Don't believe they're from Liverpool. They just called themselves that. I think, I could be wrong, and I'll get slayed on this, I'm sure, in the comments, that they were American, but they were a good little garage band. So it's a little Anthony and the Imperials, Lynn County, which is kind of psych. That's the infamous Moby Grape because of that. Bad. Sadly, no poster with it. I did check. Truly Fine Citizen from Moby Grape. Oh, man, these are starting to get a little bit heavy here. So let's just move these back. That did nothing. Records. I love it because of the inconvenience. So this is the John Lennon Plastic Ono Band. And often what gets missed is this one behind it here. Did you see the difference? Can you see the difference? Because this one is called the Yoko Ono Plastic Ono Band. But do you see the difference here? Quick, I'll do it again. Look. There. You see it? Yeah, they just switch them around. Often gets missed. On the back, there's a young picture of John on one, and on the other is a young picture of Yoko. I'm sure this is an unpopular opinion, but I don't mind Yoko. Like, yes, some of the screeching stuff can get a bit thing, but she clearly was listening to, and I've said this before, a lot of progressive stuff way before, like, a lot of it became popular in popular culture in North America. She was always on the cutting edge of new stuff. And again, she was clearly listening to like Can and other bands like that out of Europe. And you can hear it in some of those recordings of hers. But yeah, I know I'm not going to convince anybody. It's a double fantasy. This was stuck in there, and I think it's actually the poster from the Imagine album, but I'll have to look into that. Another good one. This is Jerry Lieber Installer fame. This was like an early rock and roll type collection, kind of rare again. Jerry Lee's, I think this was the first Canadian Jerry Lee record, if I recall. Yeah, and then there's Greatest Hits. And then there's the Mighty Clouds of Joy, gospel, rocky, fun stuff. Okay, so that's the first pile. What time are we at there? 11 minutes? Ooh, this thing is going to have to definitely do two. So this one, some of these, if you're thinking about coming to the store and this is going to be out there right away, I give this caveat every time. Probably won't be. And some of these may never make it out, which this might just be one of them, because I have had this before and I let it go and I kind of regretted doing it. But I don't know, I have to decide. Partially because it's a white label promo, not for sale. Yeah, the leaves, pretty hard to find in the first place. Kind of like a garagey, fuzzy, fun rock band. Deep purple, more deep purple, more Tom. Look at Stomping Tom at the gumboot cloggeroo. I love being Canadian. Lost my train of thought. Deep purple, more deep purple. Look at that. It was only $3.99 back in the day. This is actually, some Stomping Tom stuff is kind of hard. This is, I believe, the last record that they put out on vinyl for Stomping Tom. Could be wrong on that, but this one, it's only the second time in all my years of collecting I've come across it. Stomping Tom meets Mucktuck Annie on Tragedy Trail. It's an early one. Pistol Packin' Mama. Oh, two of those. The Northland's own Stomping Tom Connors. Here's another one, the Dell Vikings. This would have been, I mean, this one's a bit beat up, but again, would have been up on the wall back in the day. And Vanilla Ice. I don't even know. Oh, awesome. United States of America. For those who don't know, there was a band called United States of America before that band that did the Peaches song. I think this was like 68 or 69. Don't quote me on that. I'm not 100% sure. But they did some interesting stuff. Like you can see he's got a violin and that is like hooked up to, I believe, a theremin. And then he's just blowing into a microphone. A lot of delay, a lot of space. A lot of fuzz. It's like, it's good. Not gonna lie. Oh, there's another great Psych piece. The Ultimate Spinach. Beholden Sea. Great piece of Psychedelia. The Undertones all wrapped up. The Trogs, Wild Things. That is great. And I think it's their first, yeah, and it's on white label too. Maybe a promo. Sometimes they did white labels that weren't promos, but yeah, that's, I think, a Canadian. Or is it American? No, that is an American pressing. Yeah, that's mono pressing too. Maybe a promo. Kind of nice. Terry Knight and the Pack. Again, this one's a little bit, had some, like, looks like, I don't know if that got wet at some point or something. A little bit of wrinkling to that cover, but this is a hard one to find too. Again, 20 years ago, 15 even, this was huge money because you know, it was like they're kind of like a psyche garage band. Prices even on that hard psych stuff is starting to come down a bit now, you know, because they're aging out. It's everybody wants like post-punk and 1980s stuff, which, you know, totally understandable. One of the best soul records ever made, The Temptations' Psychedelic Shack. It is so good. The Tempries, T-Swift, and the Electric Bag. And it's not Taylor, because she wasn't born clearly back then. Although, you know, maybe a little bit. Looks like. Anyways, this is like a Psychsploitation record. I forget which of the bands, studio bands, did this one, but it's actually pretty good. There's some like really fuzzed out guitar on this stuff. Merry Christmas with the Supremes. Another nice piece of psychedelia here. The Strawberry Alarm Clock. Wake Up, It's Tomorrow. Pretty hard to find, and that's on the uni there. Another great piece of sort of psychedelic garagey. It's the Status Quo, picturesque, match-stickable message from the status quo. Another one. I did get a lot of psych. I probably should say that in here. Or, well, like garagey psych. You know what I'm trying to say. The Standells, Dirty Water. It's great. It's on Tower. Probably an American pressing, actually. That is the SRCs, who I mentioned earlier. That is their first record. Really good, actually. Mongo. Just kind of like fun. I don't know. And here comes, for your jazz heads, here comes a bunch of good stuff. Mulligan Meets Monk on Riverside. Thelonious Monk Crisscross on Columbia. Underground. If you see that. Monk's Dream. 2 copies. Why are there 2 copies? A stereo and a mono. Stereo and a mono. That's why there's 2 copies. Monk. The Modern Jazz Quartet. I believe that is the Modern Jazz Quartet again. Yep. There you go. Jackie Me Too. Like, not actually Canadian, but moved to Toronto and did some amazing stuff. Did amazing stuff back in Jamaica back in the day. Kept going when he came to Toronto. This is like reggae funk gold. Anything Jackie Me Too touches is pretty good, and those probably will stay in my collection. Fred LaSalle, guitar player. Oh, I have a copy of this already, so this one may make it out. Let's see. The Seeds, Web of Sound. Seeds are one of my favorite bands if I hadn't gone on to that yet. And I think that's, USA pressing. Not sure if it's first, but it's certainly early. Run DMC, 12-inch. This is kind of interesting when I saw it. And obviously it's been in, I looked it up, and it's supposed to be sort of like folk psych. And it was conceived and written in Toronto on the occasion of the company's 50th anniversary. Earth, Air, and Water. I don't know what the company is. All music was composed and performed by Rose, so I might give that a listen because that sounds pretty interesting stuff. Run DMC 12-inch again, another Run DMC 12-inch, another Run DMC 12-inch. I can't have enough of those anyways. Rolling Stones, this is the sticker cover. Sticker's still on there. Diana Ross, kind of, I'm not super familiar with this record. Like, I like Diana, but I really don't know that one. Sonny Rollins, The Bridge, Stones, Steel Wheels, Stones, what's the name of that record? Why can't I remember it? I'm totally blanking. Anyways, it's got the, it's the one with the Harlem Shuffle on it. It's got the hype sticker and the red cellophane cover on there, which is kind of cool because that's usually missing. Rolling Stones, Emotional Rescue, Love You Live, It's Only Rock and Roll. This one, technically not a Stones record, but usually you'll find it listed with the Stones because it's everybody except for Keith and Ry Cooder and Nicky Hopkins thrown in for good measure. Jimmy Reed, you know what? I'm going to move this because you can't even read the bottoms of those. Jimmy Reed, rocking with Jimmy Reed. Again, great guitar. Hugh Masekela, sampled several times. I think probably the Beasty Boys also used them at some point, I think. Could be wrong on that. Check it out. Taj Mahal. Carlos Santana and John McLaughlin of the Mahavishnu. John McLaughlin, the Mahavishnu Orchestra. Five Faces Manfred Mann on the Capital 6000 series in Canada. Pretty hard to find, actually. Another Masekela, another Taj Mahal. Here Comes the Judge, which is a Canadian, this is on the Arc label, which is a Canadian label. I don't know they did a lot of soul and funk, but this one is supposed to be really funky. It's by a band called the Majestics, which probably were just a studio band. It's called Here Come the Judge. I'm going to check it out and see what it's like because I've actually read that it was a thing. Best of Love and Spoonful contains the individual photos, and it actually has them, I believe, if I can. Ooh, Backdoor Man, Shadows of Night. Again, another great garage band. Again, another great record, fairly hard to find. I'm going to keep that, I don't know. Bola Sete, not super familiar with the work, but it just working on a groovy thing. Anything with the word groovy in it, I'm just going to buy it. So, The Searchers, Jack Scott, who's like a rockabilly guy, country rockabilly guy. Layla Schifrin, I'm not super familiar with it, but I love that cover. I love Santo and Johnny. Most people are like, well, dude, what is your thing with them? But like, seriously, the guitar picking is so good, and then you get that really nice like pedal steel over top. It's great. More Santo and Johnny. Well, plus, look at the hair. Man, I wish I still had hair left. Oh, there goes some records. Those are going right now. And then Santana. So, yeah. It's a pretty good collection. Like I said, it's not like constant heavy hitters, and there's no like huge, super rare $1,000 record or anything like that. That I know of in here. But some pretty cool stuff, and it is getting harder and harder to find interesting things. As I said, I will be making a part 2 of this because I try not to go over like 20 minutes. Here I am here. I'm going to be over 20 minutes on this one because I have another probably 150 records to go through on that one. So probably in a week's time, look for the second one of these. It's got kind of the same kind of quality stuff in it that you might find interesting. All right, hope you're able to find some stuff out when you're crate digging. And yeah, you know what? I'm going to throw this in here. If you like this stuff, maybe subscribe. I mean, you don't have to, but like 80% of the people who are watching my videos aren't subscribed. Again, you don't have to. I'm not the boss of you, but it would like encourage me and help me out a little bit. So yeah. All right. Have a good day, night, whatever.